Functions are nothing guys. A set of instructions which are packed within a block, which are packed in a block. To recognize this block, you have a name. To send the some values to this block. To send some values to this block, you have something called as parenthesis, right? And to define a function, whenever you want to define a function, you have a keyword called as def, and you have a colon for the block thing. So to come under this function, you have an indentation, and that is where the block thing, right? Again, I'm telling it, functions are nothing but a set of instructions which are packed within the block, right? Which is with the help of indentation. To recognize this block, you have a name, for example, MNO, and to send the data or to send the input for this statements, okay, you have parentheses where you can send the n number of arguments, right? In Python, if you want to make a function, you need to use a keyword called as what? Def, right? And you need to put an indentation. And this function at the end, you can return it something. It's a completely option. Returning a data from a function and sending the argument to a function, it's completely an option. And one thing you need to know about it, in Python, function is also a object. Function is also what? Object. Okay, everything is an object. In Python, everything is an object, guys. Okay, there is nothing, like when you write a is equals to 10, a is equals to 10, this is also object only, right? Everything, each and everything is an object, right? Now, this function is also a object, right? That is what you can go for it, right? In Python, you can write nested function. Function is an object. The first point is function is an object, and next one is like you can write function inside a function inside a function, nested function. You can do it, and later on, you can tell it has like what is that? Function overloading. You can do it. Purely object oriented. Yeah, right. Whereas again, you can come across with other things, just a block, right? So in other languages, it's just a block. But here, function is a completely a object. That is what I'm telling you, right? Dire, say you will get to know more things. Not to worry about it. It's just an intro now. The things goes on, like things gets like more, right? So we'll just check it out how it is. So you got to know about this. It's a set of instructions or set of statements which are packed within a block. To recognize that block, you have a beautiful name, and to send some data for that block to that statements, you have something called as parentheses where you can send a number of arguments, which is absolutely an option. And from the block, you can return the data, and that is also an option. To define, this is a function, right? So you use a keyword called as what? Def, right? Function is also object in a Python, and function can be written function inside a function also, right? So these are all the things which you have seen, right? For example, I'll go here. I'll go here. Wait a second. I'll go here and I'll be writing a function now, right? Everything, all the state set of instructions, I will go it into this one stuff, right? So for example, I'll erase this, right? So erase this. So here the recursion part also will come. That is like crazy thing, right? So for example, what is this set of instructions, right? So I'll then to tell it, if I want to create a function, I want to use a keyword called as def. I want to like ABC, and I'll like parenthesis, and I want to like colon. So if I tell like print, I'll just tell that like what? ABC. What is the use of this function, right? So when I run the program, you have seen this tedious task. When I used to run the program, right? Like I need to come again, I want to run it. I need to come again, I want to run it. Now what I will do it here itself, I can call ABC now. ABC I can call n number of times. I don't run the program again and again. So I can call it a number of times. Whenever you want it, you can call it. What's the beauty of function is, until unless you don't call it, it will never execute it. You need to call to a function, and this is called as a calling a function. Until unless you don't call the function, it will never get executed. So this is what you need to know about it. Understood? What's the beauty of the function? Until unless you don't call that function, you cannot, like run that function. You need to call. You're supposed to call that function, then only it will happen, right? And you can call n number of times. As I told you, you can call n number of times. You can, if you want to call it n number of times, for I in range of 10, I can tell it. I can call n number of times. ABC, I will tell it, and I will call this. Look on here, I can call it 10 number of times, 20 number of times, 200 number of times, any number of times. So what is the beauty of function? Until unless you don't call the function, it will never get executed. You need to call the functions. There are two types of function. First thing is like two types of function. Function are of two types. Which are the types of function? These are types of function. One is user defined, User defined, other one is predefined. Predefined. What are this predefined, guys? You can see this, all this like print. You can see this print. You can see this input. You can see this range. You've seen many things. You can see this len, right? You have many things, right? So these are all called as what? Predefined. Already it has been defined by someone, and you have seen that 50 functionalities, right, in that data structures. All those are all like predefined. We have come across this one. We are not writing the logic, we are not hard coding it, but here user defined means we are writing everything, right? We are, as an example, abc is a user defined now, right? So abc function is a user defined. User is writing a name, user is passing the arguments, user is writing the statement inside that, user is defining the function, and that is where you call it as user defined function, right? Function, in function, how many types are there, guys? How many types of functions are there? How many types of functions are there?
5 types, sir.
5 types. Which are those?
Sir, with argument, with return type, without argument, without return type.
Right. Where I told you something like this, right? Return type and this one, what is that? Arguments, right? Are the
Argument.
option. Tell it like this: 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, and 1, 1. That means this is nothing but without return type, no arguments. Right. Next one is what? With return type, and no arguments. Third one is what? Yeah. Third one is what? Without return
Without
type
return type. With
with
argument.
with argument. What is fourth one? With return
With
type.
return type, with argument.
Argument. Last one is what? Recursion.
Because
This is my right, recursion. Recursion is the favorite one. It's a top notch. Right? Easy to understand this one. 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. This will be like this. Sir, in this Python, you don't have return type now. So where you have written the return type? Look on your side, you have written the function. You don't write the return type only, right? That's the beauty of Python now, right? So it is a dynamic in data type, right? So it will decide it. It will by default, it will decide it. What is the return type of it, right? Shall you do that? Shall you do that, guys? The four things will do that. Okay? The four functionalities I will do that. In the same way, same order, I'll do that to you. Okay? Now, first thing is what? First thing is something like this. No return type, no argument. Means what? Nothing is there. I will use one simple program to add two numbers itself, so that you can remember it. The structure you can remember it. Okay, so I want you to remember that structure. That's more than enough, right? For example, whenever I want to create a function, I want to write the def in Python, a keyword called as def. I want to write it. Whenever I use the def, that means it is a function, right? I want to tell the name now. MIB, I will tell it, and no argument means in the parenthesis there is no arguments. That is what? No argument in the sense. I'll come here. I'll just tell it as print. I'll tell it. I'll tell it as mib. I'll tell it, and I want to add these two numbers. I'll just tell it as a plus b. I'll tell it. Right. So where does this a plus b comes from? I want to declare it. I'll just tell it like a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 20. I want to tell it. So type of a and b. We are doing Python and we don't want to tell the type. It will decide it, right? So do you want to return it? Always, if I'm returning or not returning, I will just write a keyword called as return. RETURN, return. I will tell it. Right? That's it. Done. If have always remember this is a good habit to write a return type. Okay, so even if I'm returning or something or not returning something, I will return it. But what I'm returning here, I'm returning nothing here. That means void. For example, if I run this program, okay, so if I run this program here, it will return none, guys. Okay, if I'm not returning anything, it will return none. I'll tell it like mib. I'll tell it. I write in this. Look on here, mib 30. So is this returning? No, this is printing inside the mib. So what is this returning it? To know that, I want to use the print statement. Print, I want to use it inside the print. MIB like this, I want to use it. I'll enter this. What is it returning, guys? It is returning none. None, none. Right? So if you return none, that's no problem. Sir, what is this print is returning, guys? What might be print is returning? For example, like this, if I write print, I'll print it inside the print. Look, even the print is returning none itself. When the print is also written in what? None. So there is no return type for the print. Same way, here mibweb also doesn't have a return type. Understood this one? First one? First one you got it? First one is what? No return type, no arguments at all. No return type and no arguments. First one is done, guys?
yes, sir.
Okay, next one is something like this. I want to tell it as what is that? With return type I'll tell it, with return type no arguments I'll tell it, with return type no arguments. What I'll do it now, I want to use a keyword whenever I want to use the function in the Python. I want to use the keyword called def. To recognize this block I want to use it web. To send some data to the function I want to use the what? Parenthesis. In the parenthesis, do you need arguments? I'm telling you no arguments, no problem. So I'll put an indentation and I'll tell it as like this. There's no argument, that's the reason I'll tell as int a semicolon b is equals to 20. I will tell it. Right here I'm gonna print it, print I'll tell it, print I'll tell it, I'll just tell it as web I'll tell it, right? I can do this, and I can tell it as like this also. And I'll tell as end is equals to, I don't want to go to the new line, so like this I'll tell it. I want to return it, return return, and I'll just tell it like a plus b. Because in case a plus b I'm returning it, right? So it is an integer type. I don't want to tell it in Python that I'm returning an integer type. Any other like other programming language, I want to tell here I'm returning what? Integer type. Over here I don't want to tell that because it is in dynamic in nature, right? For example, if I run this program, what will happen now? I will tell it has something like this, guys. Print I'll tell it like web I'll tell it. I'll call this function now. When I call this function, look on it, guys, web 30 I'm getting it. Right, web is in the web function which I'm printing it, and 30 which I'm returning it, and 30 will be what type? Integer type. I'll just tell as type of web. I'll tell it. It will be something else. Type of it is, what is that? Web function it is, and the class is what? Integer type. What is the return type of the web? It is returning what? Integer type of data. That is what I wanted here. Understood this one? I'm just making it simple for you right now, right? So very simple. I don't want to make it complicated. Very simply, very lightly, I'm keeping it. Just understand this, what I'm trying to do it here, right? And if you have any queries, you just drop a message or you can interrupt me in between also. No problem with that. Okay? The next one. What is the next one is without return type, no return type. I'll just allow like no return type, and no with arguments. I'll just with arguments. Now arguments we need to pass it, right? So I'll just tell us whenever I want to do the function, I will do it as def, and I will do it as skill. I want to do one name, and I will do it as a comma b. I will pass it. Here also I don't want any data type, so I just keep it like this lightly, and I will do it like print. I'll tell it, and I will do it as I'm not returning it. That's the reason I will do it as skill, and I will do it as a plus b. I will tell it. Just adding two numbers. Look here, you have arguments now. So no matter I'm returning it or not, I'll just write a function called as what? Return. I'll use this word in my function. Always I'll use this word. I'll have a habit of writing this. It's a good habit. I write it down. According to me, it's a good habit, right? So you just take care about it. So now I'm not returning anything, none. So I will run this program. So I'll just tell it as like this. Look on here, guys. I'll just tell it as skill. I will tell it. I'll call this function. I'll enter this. What happened? Skill. I want to pass two arguments. It is telling to pass two arguments. I'll just return comma 20. I'll pass it. Look on here, guys. Skill 30. I'm getting it. Isn't it nice? Isn't it beautiful? Look on here. I'm getting a slap if I'm not writing the arguments over here. So I hope you got the slap before, way before, right? So this is how you're going to be developing now, right? Now coming on to here. Next one. What I need to do the next one? I'll just tell as ash with return type with argument. Both the things I wanted now. This is very simple. Def is a keyword which I want to use it for function, and I want to tell that like bout, bout. I'll tell it, and I will tell it as arguments you wanted. That's the reason a and b. I will tell it, and put a colon here, and I will enter this. I don't want to print it anything. That's the reason I'll just tell as retur and return a plus b. I will tell it, right? So I'll come here. I will return this, right? So with return type and with arguments, both the things are there, right? So for example, if I run this program, what I'll do it now, I'll just tell like bout. I'll tell it. I'll tell it 10 comma 20. I will tell it, right? This should be written, right? So this should be written, right? So this is written again, no problem. But this should be printed, right? Properly, it should be printed. Print. I'll tell it, and I'll tell it as bout. I'll tell it, and I will tell it as bout, bout, and I'll call it here, right? So it will print it like this. I want to call this with arguments. Sorry, I'm so sorry. And I will tell it as 10 comma 20. I will tell it. Right, this is how it will print it, right? So this all the things I can put it in a one shot. I can call it here itself in my program itself. I'll call it, for example, I want to call the mib. It is not printing anything. That's the reason I'll put it here, right? So it is not returning anything. That's the reason I'm printing. I want to call this web. I'll just tell it like a print. I'll tell it, and I'll call this web now. I'll just tell it like web. I'll tell it web. I'll do like this. So no arguments for this web. That's fine, no problem. Now here you can see the skill. I'm telling it skill. What I'll do it now, skill is also not returning anything. That's the reason I'll just call it skill. At this time I want to pass this arguments. I'll pass the arguments, And again, web I want to print. Web I can call it here like this, web with a 10 comma 20 I can call it. But when I call this one, I'll write it here. One statement I'll write it. Print I'll just set it as web. I'll tell it about
Sir,
bout
it is bout,
bouter.
sir.
Yeah, end equals to, I'll pass it like this, right? I'll put it bout here, and I will, sorry, this one, right? Okay, I'll just tell as bout. I'll tell it. Look on here. This mib function is going here and it is calling here. Web function is going here. It is calling here. Skill function is going here. It is calling here. Bout function is going here. It is calling here. I'll run this program now, right? What is this now? Mib 30, web 30, skill 30, bout 30. All the four functions are doing the same thing, but in a different order, right? Understood so much, guys? Understood so much. And I'll show you now something else also. Understood so much.
Sir,
Understood so much. Yeah.
sir, while printing the web with return type no argument function, while printing the function what it is returning it, we will print whatever the print statements along with the return type, sir.
I didn't get it. Which one?
No, we printed with return type no argument function, sir. Web.
Return type no argument. With return type no argument. Huh.
Web in that if we try to print web what it is returning it will return with whatever the print statements were there. It will return that as well along with the return statement.
No, this is a statement that is executing it. This will execute it normally. And there's a normal statement will execute it. After that, what will do it? It will return it. That return type, I'm catching it here. At the same momentum, I'm printing it.
You are printing it. Yes, sir. Yes.
Ah, this is a different statement. Here also look on here. This is a different statement. Those are statements which are executable. After that, at last it is returning it. After this function, it will print it. That is what it is happening here.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
you understood?
Yes, sir.
Look here,
It is executing as well as returning the data.
I'll show you one magic now. Okay, look on here. Instead of writing like this, right? I can even return web together also. For example, web like this, I can return it. I can return the string also along with this. That means what now? This return will do it what? You can return multiple arguments. For example, for about also, I don't want to write it like this, right? I can do it what now? I can tell it as like this here. I'll just tell it like bout. I'll tell it bout bout. I put it a comma here. You can return multiple statements now. This is the beauty of the Python. You can return the multiple statement. What's the type it will be? That is very important. You can return multiple arguments now. In a return, you can return multiple data. You can put a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, anything you can return it. No problem with that. But by default, what will be the type of the data, right? So that is what you need to know about it. If I run this program, can you see this one, guys? Web and 30, it is getting printed. Here you can say bout and 30 is printed, but it is bounded within which one now? It is bounded within tuple. By default, the return type of the multiple data will be what? Tuple. It will be enclosing in the tuple format and it will be returning it. So many things, right? One by one, it is coming, right? Can you return a multiple arguments, multiple datas, or multiple information from the function? Yes, you can return it. And if you don't put it in a block, okay, if you don't put it in a group data, by default it will take it what? What it will take it? Tuple. You can also enclose with the angular braces, right? So this also you can enclose with the angular braces. When you enclose with the angular braces, what happens now? When you enclose with the angular braces, what happens now? You'll come here, you're enclosing with the angular braces. It will be a tuple, so a list type, right? So it will be in the list format. All right. So can you return a multiple data, guys? Yes, you
Sir,
can return them.
yes.
Yeah. What? I didn't get it. Come again. Abhishek, your voice was breaking. Sorry.
Sir, sorry, sir. Sir, tuple will not allow the duplicate items, no, sir.
Not tuple. Set will not allow the duplicate
Set.
items.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can we return it in form of set, sir?
Yeah, I can return the form of set. You can also do that, no problem. Any data type is fine, but it depends upon which are the data types you can use it. Both this one can be used, integer also you can use it, and string also you can use it. Yeah, fine, no problem. You can return the set also, no problem. So I'll run this program, and you will be having the set format. You can return any type, no problem with that.
Sir,
There
it
is
said
no
we'll try with the same data we are already trying, sir. Comma again web we will give. So
web.
will it allow duplicate value?
Duplicate. You should remove the duplicate. That is where the set is coming onto it. Or it is not
Yes, sir.
removing the duplicate. It's returning as
Space,
it
sir.
is.
We haven't given space.
I have given space. Where I have given space? Here I have given space. Okay. So this becomes a same object, right? Web and web become a same object. That is where it is gimmick is going on. Look, when web, you remember for a web, it will point to for web and integer, it will point to the same object. Object is same and does return the same. One candle. Order of returning type, it will be not there. Order of the set, it will be not there. It will be
Yes, sir.
somehow, some, right? That is what
Yes,
it is.
sir. No indexing.
Yeah. There's so many things, right? So once quick revision is right. So now you have more to talk with this function, right? Now you have more things to talk with the function. So what are the things you can come across in the function now? Now tell me guys, now how do you talk about the function? Function is nothing but a set of instruction. You can tell me something. I'm repeating this for the reason I'm repeating this one, right? The more I repeat that thing will be good for you. The less I repeat, it will be like so bad for you, right? Look at set of instructions which are packed in a block. Within a block, to recognize this block, you have a name, ABC. You tell it as ABC. And to send some data or send some input for this instructions, you have something called as what? Parenthesis. In the parenthesis, you can pass a number of arguments. As number of arguments if you want to pass it, you can pass it. No problem with that. And it's a completely option. If you want to pass it, you can pass it. If you don't want to pass it, you don't want to pass it. To tell this to have an indentation, you have an indentation. To tell this is a function, this is a function, this is a function object. To tell that, you have a keyword called as def. After performing the operation, you can return it, and returning is a completely option. If you don't return it, by default it will return what? None. It will return it by default. It will return what? None. It will return it. And you can return it single data also. You can return multiple data also. By chance, if you are returning a comma b comma c, by default it will return in the form of what? Tuple. TUPLE. The return type, the default return type of the function will be what? Tuple. And you can return list, you can pack up the data in the list, tuple, set, anything you can pass it, right? Anything you can pass. The only one thing you have to remember is if you don't, you can pass it multiple datas from a function, which is not in other languages, right? Or in the Python, you can pass the multiple, like datas from the functions, right? And those data will be packed up within the by default will be packed up within the tuple, right? Now what is the beauty of the function, guys? Until unless you don't call it, it will not execute it. That is what the beauty of the function is, right? You're supposed to call it. How many times you can call it? You can call it n number of times. As number of times you wanted to call it, you can call it, no problem with that, right? And that is where you come across two types of function. One is user defined function and predefined function. And whereas in the user defined function, what are user defined function? Where you have written right now, mibweb, SkillBout, everything are the user defined function. You are defining, you're declaring, as well as you are defining a function with multiple statements. Those are called as what? User defined function. Predefined means all print, range, length, those are all the things which you have used it. All the functionalities or all the inbuilt functions, right? In a function, you can, how many ways you can write a function? You can write a ways, in a 5 ways you can write it. Or all the ways, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, I have told it. What is this? With return type, no arguments. With return type, no arguments. Without our return type, with arguments, with return type, with argument. This one is without return type, sorry. And this one is what? Last one is what? Recursion, right? This is what you're now. This four is something like this, guys. You can connect to your thoughts. You remember, this four thing is something like this, guys. You can connect to your situation. Look, you give something to the you don't give to the nature, it will not give anything, right? Or if you invest, you don't invest it anything, you will not get it anything in return. That is a simple rule, right? So it's like a stranger. You don't smile, they will not give back, right? So it's completely a Newton's law. Over here, with return type, no arguments means, look, you are not giving anything. you are not giving a damn about it, but your mother will love always. She will give always written. That is where these things will come. Right, guys. You don't give anything to her, but she will return it like in the like in the maximum way. She will return it whatever she has it. Now this is like you Abhijit, you give it, but most probably, right, the love and affection which you need to, you give it for your girl, the same love you don't give it, remember? Now makes sense. No. Mom is the first one. That's nice, that's sweet. I'm talking about the majority. You are an exception now, right? Okay. One more thing is what, without return type with argument, it's like purely one-sided, right? So like you fall in love with someone and you go on, and she don't give a damn about you, right? Completely a crush kind of a kind, right? The same thing, same situation. With the argument, you are giving it and you are not getting it, and this is two-way, right? With the argument, with return type, you're also giving, they are also getting it, right? Which one? This one? Okay, that's nice. Who is that? That ignoring you? Ah, no return is love, right? Right? I am this one, guys. Recursion, self-love. I don't want anything. I will call myself. I love myself, right? I'll talk about the recursion now. This is the beauty of the recursion. So I needed entire 1 hour of the session to talk about this. I'll be not doing it right now, right? Recursion is what? Self-love, like this. We will love ourselves, right? So that is how it goes. That's it, right? So other things are there. Like in the arguments you have some things, right? Function overloading. That is where you come across. In the arguments, again, you have topic called as star and star star, two stars. Why this single star? Why this double star? And you have nested function also. Those things also I want to do it. Oh, there are like a lot more topics over here itself. That's nice. That tend to be nice, right? Any queries still here, guys? Any queries still here? Any queries? Shall we